Mhm.
It didn't work out last month.
Yep.
Which one?
She's doing very nice. Right.
Yeah. Good.
There.
Can't remember.
Right. Yep. I used to work down that way. I used to work down that way. Turn this thing down.
Thank you, Heather. Hey, good evening. Happy New Year. Welcome to this meeting, workshop meeting of the Town of Henrietta Planning Board on Tuesday, January 17th. Members present, Matt Borkowski, Craig Eckert, Walter Liss, Robert Barley, Marcy Reynolds, Dan Mistrella, Planning Board Attorney, and town staff, Chris Martin, Director of Planning and Engineering. Heather, are you staying with us this evening or? Okay, very good. We'll begin with the minutes from our meeting back on December 20th, 2022. We all got copies of those. Anybody have any comments or concerns with the minutes? The chair will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from December 20th.
Thank you, Mr. Barley.
Second.
I'll second it.
Mr. Eckert beat you to it there, Mr. Liss.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Eckert. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Okay, we have our minutes from last month. All right, first item on the agenda this evening is application number 22-020 Rock Faux Shop Restaurant. This is for final site plan approval for modifications to an existing 1,200 square foot building and site, including an entry vestibule and covered outdoor seating on 0.33 acres located at 339 Jefferson Road in a commercial B1 zoned district with a mixed use redevelopment area overlay district.
And if the applicants could, when you're introducing yourself, also sign in here. We have a pen and a business card if you happen to have one.
Hi, everyone.
Good evening.
Hello.
Good evening. My name is Brittany Murphy. I'm a landscape designer with SWBR. I'm joined on the Zoom by my colleague Yang Song. He's our project architect.
Hi, everyone. This is Ian.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We're here on behalf of Vilay Sisypheth. She's the owner of the Magnolia Property Holdings, operating the new restaurant. This is our first appearance in front of you for the property at 339 Jefferson. That was already stated. We've been before the town board for special use permit and the ZBA for a few variances, as well as the conservation board. We've received comments that were sent to you regarding this site. We've reviewed all of them. They all seem acceptable and appropriate. We're gonna address them all in due course, including comments from the directors of the engineering and planning department and the building and fire prevention and the landscape consultant. So mostly minor modifications and clarifications. We're happy to pick up all of them. Just to review the project for you, the project consists of a renovation to an existing vacant restaurant. We will be doing kitchen modifications and updates to the dining area. As well as an addition of a covered outdoor seating area, a new entry vestibule, new bathrooms, and an update to the storage area. Site improvements consist of resealing and restriping the parking lot and the construction of a CMU dumpster enclosure. And when completed, the restaurant will operate sit-down and delivery service serving Thai and Vietnamese food. So I'm happy to answer questions on the site plan. Yang is happy to answer questions regarding the building.
Thank you. So you did mention you saw the comments and you can respond to each of those,
Yes,
correct? Yep.
yes.
Okay. No questions there. Good.
Okay.
All right. I will begin this evening. Open the floor, Mr. Eckert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome.
I don't have really any comments. I don't know if it was already addressed, a thought. Was there thought put into snow storage where it might go?
There are a couple of, there's a little bit of a triangle at the back of the parking lot beyond the two employee parking spaces. That can hold some of it. We might lose a space in that employee parking if there's a ton, but certainly there's a little area back there.
Yeah, especially now that you're putting the wall, there's a fence going on.
Yeah,
southern
yeah.
border.
There's also a little bit as you're making that turn around the back of the building. Currently, there are 4 parallel parking spaces along that eastern edge of the property. We're reducing that down to 2 to make a little more room for that swing. So there's some vacant space there. That's another solution.
And that's fine. There just may be a need for, some of it to maybe be trucked off if we ever do get a winter So that's the only other thought or constraint that I kind of had to the property, but it'd be really great to see something new go in there and put some life back into that section.
Yeah.
So I've, in my review, I don't have any other comments, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Eckert. How long has that building been vacant? Do you know?
I do not know.
Okay, so I think that used to be a Carol's Restaurant way back in the day. Am I right?
Two, huh?
King
Carvel.
Calzone.
Oh, was it Carvel?
Carvel.
All right.
That's correct. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we're all dating ourselves up. So,
Kind of dating yourself, Walk.
yeah.
I have no clue what you're talking about.
Never heard of it.
Okay, the chair will recognize Mr. Borkowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome.
I just want to, it's Brittany Murphy, is that what you said?
Yes,
Thank you, Ms. Murphy. If you could, as you're finishing up, just sign this up here
certainly.
and make sure you leave a card for us. Other than that, I think the elevations look great. Hasn't been used for a while, so I don't have a lot of questions. I think, if she can answer all the engineering comments, we're good. Thank
Good,
you.
thank you, Mr. Borkowski. The chair will recognize Mr. Barley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome.
Brittany, will he be applying for any liquor licenses?
No,
No? How many employees you think?
I think she's thinking 3 to 5.
Well, this rendering looks great. And thank you for answering my questions.
Yeah.
No other questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Barley. The chair will recognize Mr. Liss.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome.
You think it'll be primarily takeout?
I think she's
You have
expecting.
you have inside dining.
Yeah,
I see that.
the outdoor seating. I think she's expecting a fair amount of sit down dining as well.
Yeah. And just a point of information, is it faux or is it fa?
It's pho,
It's
as far
pho.
as I can
Is it
tell.
like
Yes.
la? It's fa, rock
Pho,
fa,
rock pho.
rock fa. Okay. No, I think this is a healthy change for that location.
Great.
Looks great. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Liss. The chair will recognize Mrs. Reynolds.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I
You're welcome.
have no additional questions.
Okay, very
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you.
What type of hours do you anticipate for the
Thank you,
business?
I believe it's 11 a.m. to 11:30 p.m., 7 days a week.
Okay, and you said it's Thai, Vietnamese food.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. If you've been to C Restaurant, it's the same owner operator.
Oh, okay. What's that? C?
SEA.
Where is that?
There's one on Mount Hope, and I believe there's one on Monroe.
Okay,
Great food.
very good. That's good to know.
Looking
Yeah.
forward to it.
Well, thank you. Anything from town staff? Mr. Mastrella?
Nothing from me.
Thank you,
I
Mr.
think
Martin.
just seeker, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, very good. I've got that here somewhere. Okay, seeker review indicates the action under consideration is an unlisted action as per section 617.7 C1 VIII. The Henrietta Planning Board, as lead agency, has determined that the proposed action described below will not have a significant effect on the environment and that a draft environmental impact statement will not be required. The action under consideration is a site plan application by SWBR. It is an unlisted action and will not require a conditioned negative declaration. The purpose of this application is for final site plan approval for modifications to an existing 1,200 square foot building and site, including an entry vestibule and covered outdoor seating on 0.33 acres located at 339 Jefferson Road in a commercial B1 zoned district with a mixed-use redevelopment area overlay district. All relevant areas of environmental concern were identified. Evaluation and examination were carefully made in relation of the existing conditions versus the proposed site improvements. It has been determined that there will be no adverse environmental effect as a result of the proposed action. I, James Gruner, therefore make the motion that we make a negative declaration and that the chairman be authorized to sign the statement of environmental significance. Do I have a significant second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Barley. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Okay, we have a seeker. Thank you. The chair will entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to move ahead on application number 22-020 Rock Fa Shop Restaurant, final site plan approval.
Thank you, Mr. Liss. Do I have a second, please?
Second.
Mr. Eckert, thank you. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. The motion carries. Congratulations and welcome to Henrietta.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Just some markups as well. I'm sorry.
Didn't say anything.
How about that one? Jerry, I hope you were taking notes how fast this went.
Thank you very much.
She wants to go really good at it. She's gonna start with board of building permits, so is that?
Great. Okay, next on the agenda this evening is application number 22-021. Dish Wireless Co-location, 1484 Calkins Road. This is for final site plan approval for the installation of a dish wireless antenna on the existing tower located at 1484 Calkins Road in R120 zoned district. Who's here representing the applicant, please?
Hello, board. My name is Natasha Ernst, and I'm staff attorney for
Thank you.
Tilson, representing Dish Wireless, who is proposing to co-locate in an existing faux bell tower wireless tower. And their antennas will go in existing space, so it will be a full co-location, and the stealthing requirements will be maintained on the tower so that none of the antennas are visible. The tower and all of the equipment is behind the South Side Church of Christ. So the equipment is all located behind the building. There's no expansion of the compound. So the equipment will just go inside the existing fenced area where the equipment is. So it really won't be seen and have any impact visually from the neighborhood. There were photo sims included in the package. So you just see the new ray of stealthing lower on the tower, and then the bell, the faux bells are dropped down. But ever the visual impact will remain the same.
Very good.
I also live very close to the Monroe location of C, and it's delicious, and you all will love that.
Well,
Because
thank
it's
you.
also delicious, so.
We'll get that endorsement in the minutes, right? That's,
Yeah,
thank you.
exactly.
Okay, well, very good. Well, the chair will start with Mr. Eckert once again.
Thank you, Mr.
You're
Chairman.
welcome.
Thank you. And I was wondering why we were getting a Tilson rep first time in person. So that's answered that question.
Yes.
Usually they're online. I
Yes.
don't have any other comments. I've reviewed the site plan and everything else that we have existing. I guess my only comment, I'm sure this went through SHPO.
Or Steve McIntyre.
Yes.
Yeah. okay.
So the NEPA SHPO is done separately. And all of these will go through the NEPA SHPO process. All wireless antennas in the country.
Oh,
have
so
to
it
do
hasn't gone through yet.
It goes through in the regulatory process, and it has to go through before construction. And that will be taken care of through the regulatory process.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and maybe because it's existing, it won't have any constraints. I know that there was another tower that was disapproved in that area because of its proximity to Tinker.
Was it a new tower?
Yeah, it was a new tower. This one, obviously, it's a co-location and it's in the stealth side of it, so you can't even see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the new one was also supposed to have the stealth tree
No,
architecture, and it was also denied by SHPO. So I don't think this will have a problem. I just wanted to see if it had gone through, just to see if there was a conflict, or if because if it was existing that there wasn't going to be a conflict.
When it's existing, it's a different level of review at SHPO,
Yeah.
and we do not foresee a conflict.
Right, and there's no other change to the facade and to the elevations from what's
Correct.
visibly there now, so that would make sense too. So that was my only other just comment, was to throw that out there in discussion, but I don't have any other comment, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Eckert. Chair will recognize Mr. Borkowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am all set. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Chair will recognize Mr. Barley.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. You said this is behind the South Side Church.
Yes. So if you're on Calkins Road and you're looking at the church, the faux bell tower is behind it now,
Mhm.
and all of the equipment is also behind the building. So you cannot see it from the road.
All right, I have no other questions. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Mr. Barley. The chair will recognize Mr. List.
How many other devices are on this tower?
There is one currently. So this will
Just
be the
one?
second co-location for
another
Dish. So it's for the current one is for Verizon.
Verizon?
Yes.
So will there be any disruption of service?
No, there will
I
not
live
be
in
any
that neighborhood.
disruption.
I don't want to, any
Yeah.
cell disruption.
There will not be any disruption, particularly since this will be lower on the tower.
Okay.
So nobody will need to interfere with the existing antennas.
Hey, I'm kind of curious, what's the incentive for the church to have cells? This
So they
from
get-
Dish as well as Verizon.
So
you
they
know?
get a landlord, so they're a landlord, so they get a co-location lease rent from Verizon. And one of the conditions that was in the comments that we received, will comply with all the comments that we received from planning this today. Is the lease is still being negotiated because I don't think this is particularly confidential, but it can get confusing about whether you're going to give it to the property owner or to the existing Verizon holder. So they're still working out like the details, but they're all in agreement. They all want to have Dish co-located. So we're getting a letter of understanding right now so that all the parties agree like
So
that this is, that everybody agrees Dish
There's an
should be there.
incentive for the church then to. have this-
Exactly.
to have that.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Okay. I have nothing else, Mr. Chairman.
Keep their Sunday school coffers full.
Thank you, Mr. List. Chair will recognize Mrs. Reynolds.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No additional questions.
Okay, very good. Mr. Mastrella.
Just, I like the before and after pictures. It's exactly the same picture. It's not.
It's a little different, but it is kind of like one of those quizzes where you have to find what the difference is.
You gotta watch the bells.
Yeah, watch the bells.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, just seeker.
Okay, Mr. Martin, thank you very much. I'll have this memorized by the end of tonight. Seeker review indicates the action under consideration is an unlisted action as per section 617.7 C1 VIII. The Henrietta Planning Board, as lead agency, has determined that the proposed action described below will not have a significant effect on the environment and that a draft environmental impact statement will not be required. The action under consideration is a site plan application by Tilson Technology Management Incorporated. It is an unlisted action and will not require a conditioned negative declaration. The purpose of this application is for final site plan approval for the installation of dish wireless antennas on the existing tower located at 1484 Calkins Road in an R120 zone district. All relevant areas of environmental concern were identified. Evaluation and examination were carefully made in relation of the existing conditions versus the proposed site improvements. It has been determined that there will be no adverse environmental effect as a result of the proposed action. So I, James Gruner, therefore make the motion that we make a negative declaration and that the chairman be authorized to sign the statement of environmental significance. Do I have a second, please?
Second.
Mr. Borkowski, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Okay, we have seeker. And my pen died on me, so I had to. Okay. Okay, the chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve application 22-021.
Thank you, Mr. Barley. To have a sufficient second, please.
I'll second it.
Mr. List, thank you. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. The motion carries. Congratulations. Thank you.
Natasha, can you make sure to sign this up here and leave a card if you could? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. Okay, last item on the agenda tonight, application number 22-022. This is a Starbucks for final site plan approval to repurpose a portion of the former Pizzeria Uno for a Starbucks and a drive-through of 2,671 square feet on 14.06 acres located at 1,000 Highland Drive in a planned commercial development zoned district.
Good evening.
Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Jerry Goldman. I'm the attorney and agent for Real McKeever LLC, an affiliate of Scuddy Enterprises, who owns the J. Scuddy South Shopping Center. With me tonight is Greg Kimber, who is the Chief Operating Officer of Scuddy Enterprises. He is in the back right over here. And I handed up to Matt the business cards of our design professionals who are involved with this, Evan Gaffel, is here from Costage Engineering, the project engineers. There's Evan. Jay Dobbs from Party Architects is the project architect. It's always nice to come before the board repurposing sites that are vacant. And this is one. Pizzeria Uno went out a couple of years ago, leaving a bit of a hole in our frontage on Highland Drive. And we're working very diligently to fill that. And the way we are going to fill it in this circumstance is going to be to start with putting a Starbucks on the northern side of the building with a drive-through, because that is what they require. And what this leaves us is a space in the remainder, which is currently being marketed. We did receive a special use permit from the town board for the restaurant use. We did go through a whole lot of effort with them relative to site and site design, and we continued that discussion with staff. Craig was part of that discussion, as well as the town supervisor, our director of buildings, our director of engineering. The plans that you had received with the application showed a different configuration in terms of dealing with the driver. It had a configuration with pretty much oriented people from this side and coming in. The thought process from the town staff, which we agree with, is to essentially orient in this direction to provide that any additional queuing which is necessary will become internal to this front area, as opposed to coming out onto the ring road for good services, both the J. Scuddy Plaza north of Wegmans and the J. Scuddy Plaza south property. We received an additional comment from the town supervisor to try to incorporate an escape lane in here, which we have done as well. This area we have is that people get up here and they decide they want to get out. This gives them the ability to get out onto the side. The Starbucks design is a modern design. The site is the architecture is as on the plans that was submitted to you. It looked very familiar. Same type of building materials as we have on East Henrietta and Calkins. So to that extent, we have received comments from the town engineer, which we don't have a problem with. We also have received comments from county planning, which we don't have any issue with. Kevin Wilson also provided some comments and said we need to take a look at parking in the event that this is going to be a restaurant. Now, understand, if we have a restaurant, we have at a minimum a building permit, and we would have to review it at that time. Likely will require a special use permit, and we will be reviewing it clearly at that time to figure out whether there's an issue. Kevin in his comments said that if it's for regular retail, parking is not an issue. So as far as we're concerned, we're fine with those comments, as well as the comments from the landscape architectural consultant. And we have no real comments from the fire marshal. So in reality, we have a pretty clean application here. And we think that we've addressed all the issues which have been raised relative to this over the course of that discussion. I don't know if that's quick enough for you, Chris, but we're prepared to stop at this point.
Gary, you always amaze me. That was excellent.
And entertain any questions that the board may have.
Thank you. Okay, the chair will recognize Mr. Eckert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome.
I'll put it on the record that I think Mr. Goldman certainly finished in half the time that any of Mr. Martin's communications had. So.
And you wouldn't be wrong in that statement.
No, I want to I appreciate the work that was done. We did meet last week, and there are already new renderings and new drawings based off the comments from the staff, and I think it will work out very, very well. You know, as far as parking goes, yeah, I still don't even think there would be an issue, even with this parking that is there. So certainly take a look at that going forward. The Starbucks that we have up the road, I've never seen more than 4 to 6 cars at any even given time parked to go into the facility. It's always the drive-through. So I can't imagine that what's there now won't be able to handle even a restaurant going in, which hopefully will become even more marketable with the U of R across the street and the Starbucks going into that half. So that'd be great to see that whole building be reused. I see the elevations. They match what's up the street as well, matches their current design. We'll see if Starbucks keeps with that for the next year or two. And the other one I know up at Eastern Ritter changed after it was approved. So,
Oh, did it?
yeah, the elevations, their whole color scheme and facade treatments changed in the middle of construction. So let's see if this one continues. I have reviewed the plans, certainly met with the developer and the design engineer, and everything looks great. I don't have any other further comments, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Eckert. Chair will recognize Mr. Borkowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome.
You hit everything on there. Go figure. It looks great. So I don't have much to say, but thanks for putting something in there because it's been vacant too long.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Borkowski. Chair will recognize Mr. Barley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're
Mr.
welcome.
Goldman, you mentioned a restaurant potentially coming in. Is there any land bank parking on this site right now?
There is no land bank parking. There could be the possibility of reorienting some parking if it was deemed to be necessary. But right now, the main shopping center in the back is underparked in terms of we have an excess of parking spaces that are available right now. So even if we have a circumstance where we need to address it in this area, these parking spaces are grossly underutilized right now.
All right, thanks. No other questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Barley. Chair will recognize Mr. List.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome.
I really don't have any questions. It's a great plan. I'm looking forward to seeing it there.
Great.
Taking it.
Thank you, Mr.
Excellent.
List.
Thank you.
Chair will recognize Mrs. Reynolds.
Thank you for this. You've already addressed the traffic flow and thank you for that. And I have no additional questions.
Thank you, Mrs. Reynolds. Mr. Eckert, did you have anything else?
Hours of operation, we're going to ask that. You probably-
Oh, yeah. Hours of operation?
Hours of operation are approved as a 24-hour operation at this location. The new special permit process calls out distinguishing that in terms of hours. At this point, I don't know that we anticipate it will be 24 hours. It depends pretty much on what happens across the street. If we find that there's going to be demand, they could be open hours, but the idea of restricting hours of operation in the PCD and in other districts was if you had a situation where you were in proximity to residences, you didn't necessarily want them to be open late. We don't have that issue here. We're pretty much in the commercial core. So to that extent, town board certainly had no problem with 24-hour operation here.
No, if you're going to have 24 hours, this is the place to do it. So,
Yeah.
That's good.
Yep, and that I forgot to look on the drawing. On the north entrance there, is that going to be, are cars going to be able to enter your driveway there or no? There's going to be it's going to be there's going to be a sign which directs people to go out there. And then they'll come out to the left there, right? But you can't go in that way, correct? Over on the far, keep going over to the left by Jerry's Pen, right there. Are they going to be able to drive in that way or no? No, okay. Yep. And then they'll leave.
And then this is still two-way, so they could exit to the south or they could exit to the north.
Okay, so they can go out that way, but they can't come in that way. Gotcha. Very good. Thank you. No, I'm very pleased to see that site being utilized this way and yeah, who knew you could subdivide? I mean, you learn so many things doing this. I wouldn't have thought that somebody would want to subdivide that, but it's a great use. You get creative. It's, I never thought we'd have a storage facility in the old BJ's either. And there we go. So
You never know.
yeah, exactly right. So
One thing that I should point out, which wasn't in the elevations that you have, we now have a covered patio in our patio area. So we'll have that in our plans, final plan submission.
very good. Okay. Anything else, board members? Mr. Mastrella?
Nothing. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Martin, just seeker.
Just seeker.
Okay, thank you. Okay, seeker review indicates the action under consideration is an unlisted action as per section 617.7 C1 VIII. The Henrietta Planning Board, as lead agency, has determined that the proposed action described below will not have a significant effect on the environment and that a draft environmental impact statement will not be required. The action under consideration is a site plan application by Real McKeever LLC. It is an unlisted action and will not require a conditioned negative declaration. The purpose of this application is for final site plan approval to repurpose a portion of the former Pizzeria Uno for a Starbucks with a drive-through of 2,671 square feet on 14.06 acres located at 1,000 Highland Drive in a planned commercial development zone district. All relevant areas of environmental concern were identified. Evaluation and examination were carefully made in relation of the existing conditions versus the proposed site improvements. It has been determined that there will be no adverse environmental effect as a result of the proposed action. So I, James Gruner, therefore make the motion that we make a negative declaration and that the chairman be authorized to sign the statement of environmental significance. Do I have a second, please?
Second,
Mr. List or Mr. Barley, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Liz is throwing his voice again.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Okay, opinion of the chair, we have seeker. And the chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll place a motion to approve the application as.
Thank you, Mr. Eckert. Do I have a second, please?
Second.
Mr. Borkowski, thank you. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the motion carries. Congratulations.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Yep, same to you.
To everybody.
And motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Barley.
6:32.
Love it.
So Chris Heather said there's nothing yet for next month, so tomorrow's the
Actually,
deadline.
I just found out today that, or this evening, that